What if I told you that the secret to building a perfect society uses the exact same rules you'd use to write a perfect O-level essay? Sounds a bit crazy, right? But today we're going to break down a societal blueprint that does just that. It's really a masterclass in social engineering, and we're going to walk through it step by step.
So let's start with that huge question. How do you even begin to build a perfect society? It's a massive, almost impossible idea. Well, what if the answer lies in a structure we all know? What if it's all about how you construct a convincing, well-argued essay? You see, this whole blueprint, just like any great essay, is built on two core pillars. And you can think of them as two big exam questions you absolutely have to nail. The first is all about fostering harmony, and the second tackles the tricky, double-edged sword of diversity. So let's break down that first one. Okay, let's dive right into this first pillar, engineering harmony. And that word engineering is so important here. It tells you this isn't something that's just, left to chance. We're looking at how racial and religious harmony is actively, deliberately constructed.
So how is it engineered? Well, think of social harmony as the output of a machine, and that machine is driven by two key inputs. On one side, coming from the government, you've got systemic fairness, and on the other, from the education system, you get cultural immersion. Let's see how these two actually work.
First up, the government has to prove that the system is fair for everyone. The key word here is meritocracy, and the evidence for this has to be something people can see and touch. A perfect example, the MOE to Save Awards. It doesn't matter what your background is, these are given out based on pure talent and hard work. And that simple act creates this incredibly powerful feedback loop. You have this diverse population getting filtered not by who they are or where they come from, but only by merit. And when people see that happening year after year, it builds this absolute belief in the system. The result? You get systemic trust, and that's the glue that really holds a society together long term.
Now for this second piece of the puzzle, which comes from the education system. The whole point here is to actively promote mutual respect right from day one. You do this by putting kids in a constructed multicultural environment. And we see this in action with things like cultural immersion programs, and of course, an event every student in Singapore knows, Racial Harmony Day.
And this isn't just about a one-day event. This early, structured exposure is designed to take students on a journey. Think of it like a staircase. It starts with daily exposure, which leads to active participation in different cultures, which grows into genuine appreciation, and finally, it creates lifelong advocates for harmony. The logic is simple but so powerful. If celebrating diversity is just the normal thing you do growing up, then your brain is basically wired to reject prejudice. You go from just tolerating differences to actively defending harmony.
So, okay, we've built the bedrock of harmony, but what do you build on top of that foundation? Well, that brings us to our second and, honestly, much more complicated pillar, the diversity dilemma.
Now here's the thing. Diversity isn't seen as just good or bad. It's framed as an amplifier. It can be like a rocket ship shooting a country forward with incredible innovation and progress, or it can be a heavy anchor, causing deep fractures and pulling everything to a halt. It has the power to do both. Let's look at the upside first, the rocket ship. The point is, when you bring people with different professional backgrounds together, you get this amazing exchange of knowledge. And a perfect example of this is A*STAR's Biomedical Research Council, which goes out and recruits top scientists from all over the world to work right alongside Singapore's local talent.
The result is this powerful synergy. You can see it here with these gears of local expertise and foreign experience meshing together perfectly. These collaborations create breakthroughs that just wouldn't be possible otherwise. And this openness cements the country's reputation as a global hub, proving the massive benefits of diversity.
But remember, it's a double-edged sword. There's a huge downside. Different cultural beliefs can lead to negative stereotypes, and those stereotypes can harden into real prejudice. A painful, real-world example? Rental discrimination. Landlords who straight up deny housing to someone just because of their race or nationality. And this kicks off a really devastating chain reaction. This kind of discrimination makes the country look hostile, and it pushes away the very global talent it's trying to attract. It's a terrible domino effect. It starts with a simple stereotype, a false assumption. That leads to prejudice, a negative feeling. That turns into discrimination, a harmful action. And if you let that go unchecked, you end up with a fractured society.
So we've got these two incredibly powerful forces, right? We have engineered harmony on one side and this amplifier of diversity on the other. This brings us to the final, crucial part, the synthesis. How do you possibly combine these two into a structure that doesn't fall apart?
And here it is. This is the key to the whole thing. Harmony and diversity aren't two equal pillars. They are totally linked. Harmony, which is built on those twin supports of meritocracy and education, forms the solid bedrock foundation. It's only on top of that stable foundation that you can safely build a powerful engine of diversity and innovation. So the big takeaway is this: harmony is the absolute prerequisite. Without it, the whole thing collapses.
So this blueprint leaves us with a full toolkit, 4 key ideas to lock all this in. Ready? Meritocracy builds trust. Education creates advocacy. Knowledge exchange sparks innovation. And unchecked prejudice fractures society. That's the formula, right there.
So the blueprint gives us the tools, but building a society, just like writing an essay, is never really finished, is it? It's always a work in progress. And that leaves us with one final thought. Looking at the world today, which one of these tools do you think is the most critical for handling the challenges that are coming our way?